Secretary Pete Hegseth just made one of the most controversial and alarming statements we've heard in a long time. He promised that the cartels will be hunted down like Al-Qaeda and that the U.S. military will track them down and take them out anywhere in the world. But these weren't just words. Yesterday, on the 19th, the United States carried out another operation in the Caribbean and sank yet another speedboat linked to drug trafficking. The day before, on Saturday the 18th, Donald Trump confirmed an operation that had taken out a submarine on a route already known to be used by cartels. Meanwhile, Gustavo Petro, who's been criticizing Trump for weeks and defending Venezuela, is finding himself in hot water after the United States announced they're cutting subsidies and imposing new trade tariffs against Colombia, with Trump calling him a drug trafficker. Desperate and scared of losing control, Maduro is trying to silence Venezuela, ramping up censorship even more and shutting down any voice that opposes the regime. I'm going to walk you through everything that's happening step by step. This is your space to understand what's really going on in the world and in geopolitics. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let's get into the video. U.S. operations have been intensifying. Boats sunk in the Caribbean, submarines intercepted, and even B-52 bombers have been sent to fly over the region in a clear show of force. Every American move has the same goal: pressure the Venezuelan regime and make it crystal clear that the era of impunity is coming to an end. And it's working. Maduro is visibly shaken, surrounded, and reacting desperately. Proof of this is what's happened over the past few days. The regime has started censoring everything in sight. The Inter-American Press Society, IAPA, reported that the Venezuelan government has blocked around 80 news websites inside the country. Among them are CNN, NTN24, Infobay, and El Pitazo, plus several independent local outlets. All of this is being done with help from state-controlled internet providers, mainly Movistar, which controls more than half the Venezuelan market. In other words, Maduro is trying to silence the entire country because he doesn't know how to control the narrative anymore. But the United States isn't going to stop. With each passing day, the rhetoric gets stronger and the actions more intense. After several operations in the Caribbean against vessels linked to drug trafficking and all the preparation and training in Costa Rica, President Gustavo Petro started publicly criticizing the United States, accusing Washington of using the war on drugs as a pretext for a power grab in South America. But what he didn't expect was that his statements would end up putting him directly in Donald Trump's crosshairs. Trump hit back hard. Trump described Colombia as a drug-making machine, calling Petro a lunatic and someone with serious mental problems. He also announced the immediate end of all subsidies and payments to Colombia, promised new trade tariffs, and released an explosive statement claiming that Gustavo Petro is a drug trafficking leader who encourages massive drug production throughout the country. According to him, the purpose of this production is to flood the United States with narcotics, causing destruction and chaos. Trump called Petro an unpopular leader with a sharp tongue against America, and concluded by saying that if Petro doesn't shut down these production sites, the United States will shut them down themselves, and it won't be gentle. And as if all that wasn't enough, Petro found himself involved in another diplomatic embarrassment. During a speech, he revealed that he'd received an official letter from the United States demanding the return of the rifles that guard the Nariño Palace, the seat of the Colombian government. Petro said he only just discovered that the weapons used to protect the palace were American property. Petro's support for Maduro may have cost him dearly. While he tries to deal with pressure from Washington, Maduro himself is living through the greatest political and diplomatic isolation in years. The American operations in the Caribbean serve as a direct message not just against drug trafficking, but against any government that insists on challenging the United States in the region. In practice, Venezuela is surrounded. Local sources indicate that security forces have reinforced positions at ports, air bases, and borders. The regime fears new American actions, especially after the deployment of B-52 aircraft and the intensification of naval maneuvers coordinated by Southern Command. There are reports that Venezuelan military personnel have been moved to areas near Caracas in an attempt to protect the government from possible external operations. But the truth is that the mood inside the country is one of uncertainty and fear.
While Maduro tries to show strength, control is slipping through his fingers. The economy is sinking, censorship is increasing, and part of the Bolivarian elite is already starting to distance themselves from the palace. Petro, who's positioned himself as one of the few allies willing to defend Maduro, now faces his own internal crisis and watches his international image deteriorate rapidly. Trump, on the other hand, is taking advantage of every move his adversaries make. He knows that instability in Colombia and desperation in Caracas play to his advantage because they reinforce the narrative that the United States is taking back control of South America. With the advance of military operations and increased political pressure, the feeling is that American patience has run out.
And while Petro tries to balance and Maduro closes himself off more and more, Washington is tightening the noose. A noose that this time isn't just diplomatic, it's strategic, military, and psychological. Did you make it this far? Then drop a comment saying watch the whole video, because I want to thank you down in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a like to support the channel.